Hello everyone, this is Azraelis. We are back again and we're doing another talking head video. I knew I said I was going to go ahead and do mostly just useful stuff for World of Warcraft, but there are important things that we need to talk about. I am thoroughly enjoying my Wrath of the Lich King experience. Unfortunately, Wrath is down right now until 3, so I can't show you what I wanted to show you, which was where I am with my shaman. Uh, I'm going to tell you right now, I understand now that I would have continued playing World of Warcraft in Wrath of the Lich King if I was playing an elemental shaman. It's that big of a difference for me. Uh, I am loving it. Loving it enough that I've maxed out leatherworking and I'm working on maxing out my cooking skill. That's how much I'm enjoying playing an elemental shaman. Uh, I am that kind of player who should be, who should not have been playing a mage. I should have been playing an elemental shaman because I'm that kind of player who gets my rotation down. I'm doing my rotation, and if there's nothing I really got to worry about too much, I'm watching people's health bars. I as an elemental shaman, if you're not throwing off heals in hard moments in content, I don't really know what you're doing. Your DPS is mid to upper level DPS, so you throwing a couple heals now and then is perfectly acceptable. To win the content. It's just one of those things. I should have been an elemental shaman back in the day, but I was really addicted to playing a mage. It is what it is. So, uh, I definitely recommend playing an elemental shaman if you haven't. They are super duper fun. They're a caster with all of the good stuff that other casters don't have, which is healing and some armor and way better buffs through the totems. Way better buffs. Let me tell you that one more time. Way better buffs. Holy mackerel. Uh, so what I'm going to do, since this is what I want to talk about, this is a video from WillE. If you've never seen it, I'll have a link to the description in the description to this video. There we go. Uh, I'm going to have this playing in the background. What they're talking about here is the future of Classic. Blizzard went ahead and let out they surveyed quite a few people. I believe I got one. I don't remember exactly, but I wasn't really the target audience for this, and that's because they're curious whether or not people would want to play a Cataclysm Classic. I agree with Asmongold on this point. I don't think Cataclysm the way it was is a good idea. Uh, because a lot of the changes that kind of started to homogenize in talents and stuff like that started to homogenize the the content, what you're able to do and the things that are in it, are really started happening in Cataclysm. uh there were some good things. Like many of you know, I'm a big fan of the Looking for Dungeon. Not so much the LFR, but Looking for Dungeon I thought was great. Make it nice and easy to just get into dungeons, cross server connections, all that kind of stuff. Because I actually don't believe that things like, server identity and stuff actually matter as much as people think they do. I think that's more of like an internal, like they think that the game works a certain way because of the way they play. They're seeing this, they're seeing their environment based on their own experience, and there's lots of people who have experiences that are similar to that. People who get into guilds for the social aspect of the game, all that kind of stuff. There's an awful lot of people who don't, just like me. I've been in a guild for a long time now on White Mane, and I still have yet to ever talk to them. Why? Because I'm just building my character. I'm just having fun in the game. I'm doing my stuff. All you do, I don't talk to anybody really in dungeons either. I say hello, all that kind of stuff. I empower people who are failing. I'm like, hey, we can do this. You know, I had one group that just totally gave up after they died on one boss in Violet Hill Heroic, and it was the only boss that has any mechanics that you have to deal with that matter. That is, and it's like, what? I cannot believe you guys are quitting because of this. But like you're seeing here, there's other stuff that I absolutely adore from Cataclysm. Hunters for the undead. That was huge. That is a really good thing. I would like to play a undead hunter. That's a good idea. What they were doing there. It, you know, what is it? Do they introduce goblins and worgans in Cataclysm? Is that a thing? Is that what I'm seeing here? I don't remember when those came in, but I enjoyed the early goblin content. It was fun. The worgen content was a little weird, but it was all right too. It was just another flavor of race to play, and that kind of you know Black Plague kind of old Jack the Ripper esque kind of uh, area, kind of a genre was kind of cool. It was neat. I played a Worgen once, Worgen Hunter, I believe, or a Rogue. I don't remember what I played on that. Because I came back to the game quite a few times just to see what was going on. Just to get in there, play a character to max. Because once looking for dungeon comes in, uh, if it does at all, it's one of those things. Leveling your character is not really that big of a deal because you start doing some stuff, you unlock another dungeon, and you LFD into the dungeon. You get a couple more levels, you go and you destroy everything else that you have for quests. You get to another level that allows you to go into another dungeon. You do, and you rinse and repeat. It really streamlines the whole process. That's part of the reason I liked the looking for dungeon system was, but I do want to make sure that you understand that I still think that's crazy to go ahead and have something like looking for raid. That seems nuts. Why would you want a Maj Podge, ragtag group going into a raid? Raids are supposed to be something that's a little bit more intense. So I still back the idea of adding LFD. I don't really back the idea of adding an LFR. Keep something like looking for group is now in Wrath of the Lich King for raids, just so that it's easy for them to go out and pick and choose people. One of the things that I really thought they should have done is in that kind of a system, they should have a method for being able to see what a character has. So people are going to be strict no matter what. They're going to be strict if they're having issues getting through a section of a raid or something like that, or they had some people drop. They want to get someone who is geared for that stuff. They don't want to just get a bunch of, they don't want to just get more people who are not ready to do that content when they're already struggling. So having something that would allow them to be able to tell, if the player was at least properly geared to be in the content, at least had their pre-raid bis or something like that, or at least most of it, they could go ahead and they could do that anyway. But I'll put the LFD thing to the side because I know that's really polarizing for a lot of people. I get why people don't want stuff like that. Uh, it's my opinion that it's a little bit less important than people make it. So there is stuff in Cataclysm that is cool. Do I want all of the changes to happen that happened in Cataclysm? Not really. I think, wasn't it Cataclysm where you were able to fly in regular Azeroth? You guys can correct me in the comment section below because I don't remember. It's just been too long for me to remember. But if that's the case, yeah, being able to fly back in the regular world, that was cool. That's fine. I like flying around on my Red Drake back in the regular world. Uh, but, the big sweeping changes, and especially the changes that happen to to the talents, no thank you. No thank you. This whole system, he talks about it in this video. Once again, go watch his video. If you're not subscribed to WillE and you like Warcraft stuff, you really should. He's a very good presenter of this kind of stuff. But like this whole deal where you got to put 31 points into a talent tree before you can add, the other 10 points into other stuff or whatever it is. Anyone who's watched my earlier videos on WoW knows that I am not, I am a huge proponent of having as many options as possible for the player. That's what I want in a thing like talent systems. Restricting, giving people all of these options and then restricting them heavily. No, that's that thing that I talked about in my original video called the illusion of choice. They're like, hey, look at all these choices you have, but you can only have these. It's the illusion of choice. It makes you feel like you have all of the customization and all of the control that you used to have, but you have less. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Because honestly, from a core player, I am a theory crafter. I like going in and I like testing things out. On my shaman, am I set up in the Icy Veins, or whatever website that was in their PvE spec? Yeah. But I had my own spec that then I compared to them, and I realized that there was 5 points. There was 5 points that I could have put somewhere better. So I figured out my own build for that shaman, and then I went and looked. And I wasn't very far off. So in here, it's working. The brain's working. I'm going ahead. I'm picking things that are correct for me to go ahead and do as much damage as I can and be as helpful to my team. But there was a slight optimization that I could make that barely made any change to the end playstyle that I had. I think I was losing like 2% mana efficiency for a much, much more useful gain off of those 5 points. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went ahead and I respec'd into that. That's the way this thing should work. You shouldn't be going in here, as what is this, a warlock? And be forced into spending an X amount of points in one tree, and then you have just a tiny little smidget of points to put somewhere else. That's just silly. That's not really an option. What are you really going to point your points into over here? 10 points isn't enough to go ahead and customize your build. And that's really the core thing about WoW's talent system, is that customization, at least nowadays, really isn't real. It's not. You either play the spec that you're supposed to be as effective as possible, or you don't. And that's something that I don't like. It's prevalent in many, many, many video games because they give you all of these options, and then there's one or two things that are correct. And it's like, come on, guys. You could make a couple changes if you're a PvP spec, all that kind of stuff. It's like, if you're going to have all of these options like this, you really do need multiple angles you can go at to achieve similar output. And that's not, while that is, I guess it is kind of a pain in the neck from a programmer, perspective, from the game developer perspective, because they're worried about having something become too OP. What if you could go down in destruction magic until your shadow bolts absolutely completely maxed out in damage capability, and then you could get totally maxed out afflictions? You don't want that kind of a thing to happen in your game. So it's tough. It's tough. But in the end, I also don't like the thought that they're trying to trick me, into thinking I have more options than I do. So, would I play a Cataclysm Classic? I think I would check it out. I'm not sure if I would stick around. There is stuff in Cataclysm that I would like to do. I would like to play an undead hunter. But gosh, I'm just worried. I am. I'm worried because I'm having so much fun with Wrath of the Lich King right now as an elemental shaman because it's where I should have been. It's the character I should have been playing. Really, I should have been an elemental shaman back in the day. So, you see, right here, you've got an affliction lock, and he's got 16 extra points after he's got everything that he needs in affliction. He's got 16 extra points to go into destruction. He didn't have to do that. If he was having trouble or if he was gonna, go for buffing his imp or something, he could have gone into demonology and done that. There is options. He decides to not go quite as far into his afflictions tree and come further down in destruction. There is some options. But then again, am I doing the same thing as other people do with LFD, with the talent system? Am I going ahead and putting too much emphasis on the customization of your character? I don't know. So, go watch this video from WillE. I definitely recommend it. He makes great content. And tell me what you think about Cataclysm. I think from my perspective, I want World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King Plus. That's what I would want. But that is coming from someone who is seriously enjoying playing Wrath of the Lich King right now. There are some stuff that's attractive in Cataclysm. I love the transmog system. I love it. I think that's great. I remember playing these games where you have to look like an idiot just because a piece of gear is better, has better stats, you know? And the first game I ever played that had a system like this was DC Universe Online. It was called the style system, where you could go and you could change your style to be whatever kinds of items you had picked up. So you could change the look, customize your look how you wanted to look. And I love the transmog system. When they brought that into this game, I was like, that's awesome. Because, guys, if any of you are still here from back in the Warframe days, I was in there and I was mix matching and I was setting up my color schemes and all that kind of stuff in Warframe, fashion frame. I was doing all that stuff because I do. I like aesthetics. I like to go ahead and manipulate things to really, if I was going to play a warlock, I want him to look like a warlock. Not some weird undead guy in short shorts wearing a vest. I want him to look like a warlock. As for my shaman, like right now, he actually looks really cool. I wish I could show him to you, but like I said, the game's down right now. I would love to, I have the whole set, looks really cool. And then my helmet, which is my best in slot, is tan. So the rest of my set has grays and dark blues and stuff. And then my helmet is tan and it looks stupid. And it just drives me up the wall. So, anywho, what do you guys think? If you've gotten a survey, definitely fill it out. Definitely let them know. It doesn't matter if you agree with me or you agree with people who don't want looking for dungeons, all that kind of stuff. Make sure to fill that out. Because one of the best things that I remember from Digital Extremes back in the day with Warframe was when they went ahead and asked. It was either on a Reddit post or it was on their forums. I don't remember which it was, but they asked, "What do you want from the game?" And that is the smartest damn thing that a video game developer can do. Ask the community what they want. Don't guess at what they want. Don't assume you know better than your player base in those kinds of things. When it comes to balance, all that kind of stuff, you do need a separate third party to make those decisions. But when it comes to game content, what people want to see, and all that kind of stuff, and what they want, the only people who are going to be able to tell you that is not somebody who's sitting in a cubicle doing their job every day. It's the people who are on the ground floor playing the game. And back in the day, Digital Extremes did exactly what we said. We said, hey, we want some more melee combat. And they went whole hog. They were like, okay, you want melee combat. Okay, well, instead of just giving you a little bit, we're going to give you a whole entire new system that is incredibly advanced. Back in the day, we had quick attack and we had heavy attack in Warframe, and that's pretty much it. Well, and we had like things like helicoptering and all that kind of stuff, wall attacks, things like that. But they're like, okay, you want more melee? Here's a system that allows you to essentially be playing a fighting game where you have combo systems and all this cool stuff. And we were like, this is amazing. That's ridiculous. And that's the kind of angle they should have. That's the kind of angle every game developer should have. These people who want to play your game, who are enjoying playing your game, are going to have the best input for what should happen. It's obvious to me now that they're doing these things, that they realize that something went wrong. And that, my friends, is the very first step. Something went wrong. They realize that. And they're like, okay, so we have this next run where we're going through Classic, we're going through TBC, and we're going through Wrath of the Lich King, and everybody's been kind of having fun. Now we're getting into the big changes, and they're worried about what's about to happen. And that's dead on. That is dead on. That's what should be happening. Because we all know that Classic was fine. We were fine with kind of how janky it was and kind of how difficult things were, and then TBC came out and we had some new stuff to do and it was pretty fun and it was okay, nothing really huge came about. We got flying mounts and all this cool stuff and, this new kind of dark, gritty area of the Outlands. And then we went to Northrend and we got this much more beautiful, scenic area, with more advancements and more interesting stuff to do. Now we're at another turning point, folks. So if you got one of those surveys, you fill it out and you fill it out as honestly as you can. Because what I want isn't as important as what we all want. If it was up to me, mages would have heavy armor. Mages would have heavy armor and they'd be so OP, it's insane. Because I loved playing a mage. It's like, so here's my angle. I would have LFD in the game and I'd have transmogs and all that kind of stuff, but we wouldn't change much about the talent system. That's where I come from, So we got to have the other, in a democratic system, we have to have that other angle of people who are like, no, we don't want a looking for dungeon system. We don't want that kind of stuff. So, anywho, like, comment, subscribe, all that kind of jazz. Leave me a comment telling me what you think about the Cataclysm release. Do you think they should do Cataclysm Classic? Or do you think they should do a Wrath of the Lich King Classic Plus? What do you think? Peace out, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.